What's up, guys? Brandon with Strict Vision Athletics here with Robert. Remind me your last name again, bud. Robert
Peritz.
Robert Peritz. He is the creator of Flex Movement, one of the coolest little movement pattern accessory, really exercise equipment companies that I've ever found. Robert, if you would, introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about your company and what y'all are all about.
Okay. All right. My name's Robert. That's Bob or Bobby. All those names I answer to. Not a problem. Flex Movement was founded on the principle of training movement, not muscle. And therefore, the tools we use are based on either allowing 360-degree movement, or you have to then not move. So it's the whole concept of anti-rotation. So those are the two basic principles.
Gotcha.
So movement can help your mobility, can help with flexibility, but then controlling movement and controlling you not to move is also part of a strengthening program.
100%. So train movement, not muscle. And would you say that slogan has made its way into the creation of the equipment that you guys put out itself? I'm speaking specifically to, I use those little discs with the wheels on the bottom of them. Explain how has that made its way into your actual products?
Well, the idea of the wheels is that it enables you to move through the three different planes of motion seamlessly. You don't have to rearrange your body. You don't have to change your position. You could be in a plank position, have the discs with your feet on them, and you can move your feet in all three planes of motion, which is good news in terms of ease of motion, but it becomes very challenging if you don't want them to move.
Yeah, if you're trying to do some kind of take an isometric. I think isometrics are one of the best practical applications for your accessories, because anytime I try to do something where I'm trying to control my movement and not let it expand, and I'm using a piece of equipment that by nature is designed to move, now you have an opposing force, and it really does create it's a nice way for me to implement more resistance for clients who may not necessarily be ready for more weight. But maybe I just change, and maybe I just have them do, like you said, like a plank. Maybe they just do a plank on the fit disc.
Right. So the idea is you can either do a plank with your hands on the flex discs, or you can put your feet on the flex discs.
Right.
You can take simple exercises and increase the intensity of that exercise. For example, if you're teaching them shoulder taps with your feet on the ground are much different than shoulder taps with your feet on the discs, because now you have medial and lateral instability that has to be controlled.
Sure, yeah. There's a whole core stability aspect to it. I've never even thought about that. I knew one every single time I do a podcast. Everybody teaches me something new. That's awesome.
Right. And the same thing is with teaching people how to, lunge. Mm-hmm. So typically, if you have someone do a lateral lunge in the old days, you either have them lift their leg and go out to the side, or you put them on one of those plastic sliders.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah, or that would go on the carpet. And that is a perfect segue into one of the biggest compliments I wanted to give you was, because for a guy like me, I don't have any carpet or turf in my gym. I have turf in the back, but none in here. So if I want to do that movement or any movement where I need to slide, I used to have a giant slide board. Well, when I found your company, I sold my slide board. I'm like, okay, I don't really need this anymore. I was doing a lot of, stationary planks or step back lunges. All of that stuff is now accessible to me with something that has a footprint that's that big instead of a giant piece that would just take up the whole wall.
Right. In addition to that, it actually is a different physical activity if done properly. The way I use the discs for lunging is to teach people how to load and unload. On a slider, think about it. When you slide out laterally, how do they bring the slider back to the center? They use your adductor and yank it back.
Right. As opposed to the leg that's stationary.
Right. So the idea of lunging for me is to really train the leg that's not moving, which teaches people how to load and unload.
Yeah.
So you're sliding out on the disc. The way you bring it back is not by bringing that leg in. It's by literally pressing your heel into the ground, activating your glute, standing up, and the wheels will take it back automatically.
Training movement, not muscle.
Right.
I love that. I love that saying. There's a lot to really expand on that. People may just brush over it when they see the slogan and the company and the equipment, but there's a lot to unpack in that. And I think finding companies like yourself, finding small pieces of equipment can change an entire arsenal of training ability for somebody like me, who's a coach and a collector. I mean, I have a ton of different stuff, and I've always said a carpenter is only as good as his tools. And your company, I was super excited to get you onto this podcast because I want to talk to people who I know from a practical standpoint what the equipment can do to benefit the clients. And that's what I really see happening with what you guys are making. And talk to me about, what do you guys have on the horizon? Maybe there's something new. Maybe there's something that, I haven't seen yet, or anything new and exciting coming out that we need to know about.
I don't know what you are aware of, but so the discs have been designed. If you notice, they have holes along the perimeter.
I have, yes.
Of the disc. Those are specific so that you can attach resistance to the disc.
Okay, so, with like a carabiner?
Yeah, well, do you have a cable machine?
Yeah.
You can attach the disc to your cable machine.
I like that.
And now you could do loaded resistance with your lunge, right? Yeah. And so it works two ways, actually. So if you have a lateral lunge, pushing out on your abductors will become more difficult. But it'll actually be easier for people to bring it in because the resistance will bring it back in for them. So that's one of the ways I train people to load and unload, because people are always afraid when they lunge laterally, if I tell them just to stand up, that the discs won't come back. They're
afraid they'll slip out and never return back.
Right. They're so used to loading the leg on a slider. That's what they're accustomed to. So I attach resistance to the disc, so it's a little harder for them to push out. And then I say, just relax and stand up. And the resistance will bring it back for them. So it's also a really pretty cool way to train people the way you want them, because they have the confidence. Right. So that's the purpose of those holes was to add resistance. And you could add resistance at multiple vectors if you want, because the holes go all the way around the disc. So
right, you can make it because if I'm using the discs and I put the resistance in the center, and say I'm doing a push-up, maybe someone goes down, spread it apart, and they can't come back up without the bands, but maybe with a band, now they have the ability to do that. So I can train somebody who's inexperienced, or and I think about this again as a coach. Now I can put the bands on the outsides of the discs. So now when I try to come back together, well, now they're harder.
Correct.
That's good. I've never implemented bands with the disc. I'm going to have to do that. That's a really good idea.
You could add them to your cable machine, because I assume your cable machine, I don't know if the arm comes down to the ground, but most do. And you hook it. And then you could do a series either standing, lunging, or you could do push-pull exercises. So if you had somebody in a plank, right, and their butt is to the machine, they can put their hands on the disc and push away, and that's the resistance part. But then they have to control it coming back. Or the opposite. Or the opposite. They're facing the machine and they have to pull toward themselves, toward their body. So now you've added resistance as a factor. Or you can have them do it sideways and have them be semicircular. So there's 3 different positions. So what we've done is, so you have the circles on the disc. So what we've added are different attachments that you can put in the middle of the disc. I'm not sure if you have those or not.
I don't know.
So we have handles, different kinds of handles that you screw into the middle of the disc. I'm not sure which model you have, if you have the older or newer model, but you can check the see. The newer model has.
Let me grab one.
Go ahead, grab one.
So these are the model. This is what I have. Probably should have had it in here just to even just talk about it.
Okay, great. So take the pad off. Take the pad off.
Want to know what?
Take the little pad.
The pad. I've got the pad right now. The pad is double-sided taped to the center. I could take it off, but it'll require me to like really rip it. I just always used it I never used it for like hand stuff, or I would put bear blocks on them. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wait 1 second. I'll get my disc.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
See this? That stud in the middle?
Yeah.
That's for attaching handles.
Go figure.
and the pads that you have adhered to your disc were meant to be either for the disc or for your knees. So if you were on your knees and you wanted to put your hands on the discs, you have knee pads. Now, you could take this little handle I have here, right? It's foam dome, right? And you could screw it right onto the disc.
For your hands.
Right.
I like that.
Now, there's 2 reasons for this. Lots of people have wrist issues. When you put them in a flat plank, right? It's a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
So they have wrist issues.
Yeah.
Here, they don't have to have a 90-degree angle. They could just rest the palm of their hand over this. Now their ankles, so they could be moving it without having to worry about that wrist issue.
That having to be right here all the time.
Correct. Now for my elite athletes, I'll have them actually grab the disc with their fingers, so they have to be squeezing the disc as they're moving it, so they're strengthening their forearms while they're doing their movement.
Strength while you're doing mobility and core all at the same time.
Everything. So neurologically, we pretty much fire them up. So the idea is now you could also attach this to resistance, and you could be doing all these kind of exercises.
Wow. That's incredible. I got to get me some of those. That'll change the name of the game.
Okay, so now just stay there since you didn't have these.
Yeah.
I'm going into my little laboratory here. Now those dome handles actually come with this little pad.
Okay.
So
they can go on the ground.
Correct. Or you can screw them off the pad. They come off this little pad.
So they screw onto the pad and they screw onto the disc.
Correct. The idea is it has to be multifunctional for me to design it. I don't want something that just has one purpose.
No.
So now, instead of having people have push up on the floor, you can have them elevated and their hands are no longer at 90 degrees. And it will change them. Trust, I have people with shoulder issues. They don't have shoulder issues when I let them put their hands on the foam dome.
Yeah, so and that dome is foam. The black part it's a foam.
Foam. Yes. So it has a little bit of give, not much, but it's foam.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. No, I love that you touched on the neurological stuff. How while I'm doing this, everything is firing. My grip, my core, my chest, whatever it is I'm doing, it's all happening at the same time. Yeah.
Correct. That's
and I like. Sorry, go ahead.
Or you can put their hands on the foam as push-up stands and put their feet on the disc, and now they'll have a little bit of an elevated mountain climber or whatever you want them to be doing.
Yeah, I like it, man. That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get me a pair of those. Yeah, I like equipment that's got more than one functional aspect to it as well. In fact, I'd say all of my equipment has that. When you're somebody like me, if you're a garage gym trainer or a garage gym owner, you have to find ways to get really be selective with the equipment that you own. You can't just kind of go willy-nilly. You have to pick stuff that does more than one functionality. So that's what drew me to yours. And I've actually really, really enjoyed using it. I got to get me a pair of them handles. That'll be a game changer.
That's how we design.
Yeah.
If we're going to add something, we want to make sure most of it relates back to the discs. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that it can work with the disc or it can work by itself. So now you have 2 functions. So we have another handle we just introduced is this, which looks like, can you see?
Yeah, it looks like a attachment to a cable.
Right. But you could screw this into the disc.
Okay.
And so now you have 3 different grip positions.
So now you can do, and you can do.
Now you can do push-pull. There's no piece of equipment that you could do push-pulls with in the gym, all along the floor.
You can do that for planks. You can do that for push-ups. You can do that. Okay, I definitely want to get those.
Right now, the thing is, what you can do is also you can have people have reverse grip. So they can pull from the front to the back behind them. So think of if you're lying on your stomach and you want to, like a mermaid or a swan, you raise your chest and you pull back, you do inverted. So you have your hand inverted. Or you can lie on your back and have your hand supinated, and you can do all kinds of snow angels and anything over your head while you're lying on your back. So I can send you a bunch of these. So there's the supine, there's a regular grip, and then there's an inverted grip.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got to take these pads off of here. I got to research you. I got to get those on here.
And then the idea is with or without resistance.
Right. Yeah. Because I was going to say, you don't have to anchor that to anything. You could just do that on the ground and just get a heck of a workout out of that as well. And one other thing I wanted to touch on is the mobility aspect of all of this stuff, or excuse me, the transportability of all of this stuff. You know, this equipment is extremely small. You could put this in a gym bag and take it anywhere. You could go to the beach with it, wherever. That's the idea.
That was one of the design rules, is it has to be portable.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we do, it has to be portable. It 100%. Has to be able to fit in the backpack, or we don't make big pieces of equipment.
No, especially plenty of those out there.
Right. And so this same bar, you can hook this to your cable machine, right? Or resistance band.
Yeah.
Right? And now you can use it for asymmetrical loading.
Okay, so, expand on that.
Think of it, right? I got the resistance below my hand, and I'm doing, all handles are balanced in the middle for you.
Right. This
is no longer balanced.
Of course not. No, because it's below you.
Or you could have it above you.
Sure. Yeah. And for this movement, you wouldn't have it attached to the disc. You would just have it attached to the cable machine. Got it.
That's the second purpose. It's got to have two purposes, remember? So and then the idea is neutral grip, either way.
You can go,
So now if I'm doing a chest exercise and I'm pushing away, I can load either the inside of my arm or the outside of my arm, but whatever it is, it's going to be unstable.
It's going to be asymmetrical.
And I have to right, which is a much more challenging exercise than if it's balanced.
I'm a big proponent of instability. I love training with maces, clubs, bench press with uneven loads on either side. That's cool. That's a nice. I don't think I've seen a cable attachment based around the principle of asymmetrical loading.
That's what this does.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really, really good idea. Yeah.
Right. And so we have a whole bar system. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but there's a whole bar system. This is one part of the bar system.
I'm sensing that there's a lot of your equipment I actually don't have, which is, I thought I'd seen all of it, but I think I need to revisit the website. Yeah.
And so this has this part that screws into the disc, right? Mm-hmm. This hole. You can take another one of these. I supply another, what this is called an eye bolt, and you put it in here, and then you'll have a dual anchor handle. You can have resistance above and below.
So you can screw it onto the bottom, so it'll be exactly the same on both directions.
Correct.
Got it. So at that point, then it would be more for the cable machine, less for going into the disc. If it had
right. Then once you put this on, then it's a cable machine or two resistance bands, whatever you want. But it's the idea you can now have force on either side of your hand. And again, not in the middle.
If you wanted to.
That's right. Or you can have different vectors. You could have one vector being low and the other vector coming from the side. So that you have to constantly be rebalancing and restabilizing.
I like that. You could do like a push-pull with top and bottom.
Right, or you can have it on diagonal. You can never be on a diagonal with a regular handle because it's in the middle. It's just going to bring you back to neutral. This way, you'll have a resistance band here and a resistance band here.
I like that, Robert. Thank you. Thanks for showing me that, man.
This comes with an extra eye bolt in the package.
I'm an equipment nerd. I could talk about it all day. I love this stuff, and I love seeing the new. This is new, or is this something you've had out for a while?
This is new. Just been out for months. And then there is a longer version of this for a very special reason. You have a minute? I will just bring it up.
Please tell me.
Since you want new equipment.
Oh, I always want new equipment. These are pretty darn cool. And I did not know he had all this new stuff. So this is actually pretty, obviously podcast episode first and foremost, but also kind of a shopping cart idea for me. I got to get my hands on some of this stuff. Yeah, that asymmetrical training is a big proponent for how I do my programming. It's just, life is not a symmetrical form of resistance. Whenever things happen to us outside of the gym, it's never like, okay, 20 pounds here, 20 pounds here, perfectly even. It's oftentimes, we'll encounter situations where things will always be imbalanced or will always be asymmetrical. So training for that inevitability is really something that I try to do in the gym.
Okay, I brought my gym bag in.
Cool. That's a hefty bag.
Yeah, it carries everything.
Yeah.
So, to give you an idea, we have this little bar system, right? You've seen bars that screw together.
Yep.
Right? You can attach.
Sure.
So that's not anything you haven't seen before. But we made this little attachment for our disc. I can pick it up.
Okay.
So you see there's this little attachment that screws into the disc.
Uh-huh.
Right? You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So now this bar will screw. I'll get it done for you and then I'll show you the finished. This
I
bar
already
will
can
screw
picture what
through
it
that
is.
hole.
It's like an ab wheel. It's a roller.
That's exactly right. But it's a 360-degree movement ab roller.
Mm-hmm. Not just forward and back. It'll go in circles. Yes.
Not only that, you can add resistance to it.
On the eyes on either side.
Here or on the disc.
Uh-huh. Right. Because the front.
I do a lot of asymmetrical loading, so I only put resistance on one side.
Sure.
And roll out. Or
roll outs.
Yeah, but you can actually do pulls too. So if you face the machine, you face your resistance anchor point, right?
Yeah.
And on your knees, now you have to learn how to pull asymmetrically.
I like that.
Or this whole thing as you can imagine, this thing spins around. So now you have really the ultimate ab roller.
Yeah. Seriously. That's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah, that is a versatile little piece.
Just with this little attachment. But if you don't want it as an ab roller, then you can use it as a regular bar.
On the cables, using the same principles we just talked about.
Correct.
I like
That's the idea.
So that's awesome, Robert. Thanks so much, man, for showing me. Seriously, that's awesome.
Okay. And the only thing else new is our resistance bands. Do you use resistance cord?
Oh, yeah.
Do you use bands?
Yep. We use bands.
Do you use bands with carabiners? You use just loop bands? You use mini bands? All that, right?
I use all of them. I've got long bands, short bands, loop bands, obviously cables. I use all of them.
Okay, so we have a new kind of band. I'm digging into my bag.
Okay.
So our bands, if you can see, have loop handles.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fascinating. Okay.
So you don't have to grip them.
No, they just wrap around your hands.
That's right.
I like that. I like the texture to them. What is that? Okay.
It's a special fabric that the fabric actually stretches with the band.
Right, and then it locks once it gets to the maximum. Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah.
But the idea is that if you want people to work their back muscles, the less they use their hands and forearms, the more they're going to use their back muscles.
Sure. I'm with you.
So that's why. So that's
you
why
don't have to use you could just concentrate.
Right. So you focus on the part that you're working.
Very cool.
Or if you have people who are either injured, maybe they're actively aging, as we call it, or they have problems gripping. Now you don't have to worry about that because they could just slip their hand in there and they don't have to worry about gripping anything.
It's pretty cool. Very innovative. I like the texture. I can tell that it's something different.
And the other issue is you can wrap it around your foot too. So I do a lot of work where there's one end is on the foot and one end is on the hand. And now you're actually working against your own body resistance when you're doing exercises. So
Yeah.
Bird dog, right? If you got somebody in a bird dog. And there's
unilateral upper and lower at the same time. Yeah.
So we have a whole series of exercises. So
that's great.
Those are the new products.
I like them. I'm gonna have to give me some. One more time. So it's Flex Movement, and all this stuff is available at flexmovement.com, I assume.
So it's flexmvmtfitness.com. That's the website.
One more time. Flex
MV as in Victor, MT, short for movement. flexmvmtfitness.com.
Got it. You guys heard it here. Thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate your time, man. And I love your equipment. I can't wait to use more of it. Thank you so much for giving me a little insight on some little shortcuts and biohacks on how to use it.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time. Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
Take it easy, bud. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. If you guys like our content and you want to see more of it, click the subscribe button down below, or as always, you can follow us on any of our other social media platforms. Stay fit, you guys, stay healthy, and become the 1%.